purchases toward free fountain drinks, coffee, cookies, sandwiches, hot dogs, and more. So don't forget to enter your phone number at checkout to join the club. Holiday Rewards. Here for you at Holiday. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
The John Tesh Report on Love 105.fm is sponsored by Taco Bell.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Try the new Cantina Crispy Chicken Taco from Taco Bell with your choice of creamy chipotle or avocado ranch at participating Lowe's Taco Bell locations for a limited time. Contact Lowe's store for prices, hours, and participation which vary. Tax extra.
Love 105 Music is sponsored by Mako. Love 105 Music is sponsored by Dell. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything at you. Dell Technologies advisors said that Windows PCs and tech advisor meetings are looking over and against. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL and start to a simple experience with Windows 11 12. The local community, newgateschool.org. Do something good.
I'm Tom Crenn in the Twin Cities. Thanks for joining us for All Things Considered here on MPR News.
Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars.
Remember that complex Mars rover landing that scientists call the 7 Minutes of Terror?
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin digging the sands of pathway.
The Perseverance parachuted into Mars' atmosphere a year ago and is still chugging along, exploring the red planet. After that harrowing landing, we talked with Roger Weeds, a Mountain Lake, Minnesota native who developed some of the instruments included on the rover, and we wanted to catch up with him to see how the mission is going a year later. Roger Weeds recently returned to the Midwest and is now a professor at Purdue University in Indiana. Thanks for joining us. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks, Tom. My pleasure.
Remind us again of your contribution to the rover.
I am leading and developed the instrument that sits at the top part of the rover. It is an instrument called SimmerCam, and it's simple because it actually has several different techniques, including a laser that gets us the elemental compositions or the chemistry of the rocks and soils around the rover, and then also it works on giving us the mineral compositions as well, and then it also has a microphone and gets us the highest resolution interesting. And then there's one other sound that we've been listening to a little bit, especially earlier, and that is the sound of the Ingenuity helicopter flying. And that's a little almost like on Earth it would be like a radio controlled helicopter. But we've listened to that flying up to about a football field away. And we didn't actually even expect to hear it that far away because we thought that the thin atmosphere of Mars would not project the sound well. But it is doing better than we thought. And so we could hear that helicopter even at those distances. And it's telling us a lot about the physics of the way sound propagates in this very different atmosphere than we have on Earth.
Well, Roger Weens, thanks so much again for talking with us about your work there, SuperCam, and what it's sending back from Perseverance on Mars. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Roger Weens, Minnesota native, who's now a professor at Purdue University in Indiana. 354 now. Video games are now a global multi-billion-dollar industry with millions of players. In the U.S., a large and growing percentage of the gamer community identifies as people of color. The games are a way for players to escape into
What's the fucking fuck?
that helps both on the screen and in real life.
Enter the world of Seraph Sound Studios. Leading characters born from the imagination of Peter's Porter. In one game, elderly fighters from all around the world, voiced by some of Minnesota's own senior community, engage in a war of the gods. The Minneapolis-based game developer creates projects to challenge stereotypes and humanize marginalized communities. Porter also wants to promote social justice movements against racism and sexism.
Video games are a way to really build empathy and just teach people things covertly because you have to learn that environment in order to be successful in the game.
She points to something as simple as hair textures to skin tones and the way her characters talk. But Porter says every aspect of game development matters. It angers Porter to see negative portrayals of people of color, women, and other marginalized communities in video games and other media. They often appear as criminals, monsters, or in stereotypical tropes. But she also sees video games as a way to inspire the people who play them.
And just giving them other narratives and stories, but also what that means for our kids.
A recent diversity in games report by Diamond Lobby, a video game blog, found that of 100 of the best-selling games released in the last 5 years, almost 80% of main protagonists are male, and more than half are white. Just 80% are female.
Bravo, Pedro.
Porter says the video game Assassin's Creed Liberation, where one of the main characters gamers can play is a black woman, was revolutionary to her, but she still had problems with the developer's choices.
The issue of the game, even though I loved it, was that they forced you to dress as a slave. And I was like, did they not have any black people on their team?
The International Game Developers Association data showed only about a quarter of game developers are women, while only 2% identify as black.
We need to be able to tell our own stories from our perspectives and our imaginations and our folklore.
Advocates argue without diverse developers, writers, or voice actors at the table, there are risks that the game's story or characters end up lacking agency and players disconnect. Chair of the Twin Cities chapter of the International Game Developers Association, Beth Korth, says that's why some games can come off as one-dimensional. Representation at all levels of game development contributes value to gamers' experiences.
If you weren't written to be someone with all those drives and wants and feelings and different experiences, it's kind of difficult to convey that if you haven't lived it.
What's crazy poppin'? It's your number one homie, Minnesota Mocha, bringing you guys another YouTube video here today. Got a little bit of Call of Duty action.
Alicia Horn is also known as Minnesota Mocha. She's a Bloomington-based professional video gamer who plays on Twitch, a live streaming platform for entertainment.
Well, I actually picked up gaming and streaming to stay out of trouble. I started running with the wrong crowd in high school, and I wanted to find something to fill my time that was positive and keep me out of trouble, and that's when I found Twitch.
People pay to watch her play first-person shooter games, including Call of Duty and Valorant. She chooses the game she plays and what games she wants her followers to know about.
Bro, there's already a whole squad right here.
Some scoff at diversity in video games, but for Horn, who identifies as lesbian and black, seeing her
yourself in characters or stories is powerful and further inspires others to dream big.
For kids that, you know, haven't had their whole lives still to lead and like ahead of them, that are looking to grab onto that superhero that they can look up to, or that character that inspires them to be, you know, better, or gives them like the courage to stand up to the bully at school, or that gives them like the courage to live out their dreams. Like, oh, the character in the game can do it.
Thornton hopes that more representation will come for those who rarely see themselves reflected in all types of media, and it starts with paving the way for future storytellers. Hannah Yang, NPR News.
Find more from Hannah on representation in video games online now, nprnews.org, as we continue with All Things Considered. A minute now before 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon.
Programming supported by Senator